We have Dan Barrow and Joe Marino from Veterans Florida on the line. Gentlemen.
Joe, good afternoon.
Hey, Joe, it's Christian and Mark and Sam. How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Doing great, thanks. Thanks for having us on today.
Of course. Well, I mean, so give us a little lay of the land. This is, Oscar Mike. We're broadcast on multiple channels here, AM, FMs throughout the state of Florida, and our focus here in McDill is being in the home of SOCOM, CENTCOM, is the focus on specifically soft special operation forces and transitioning veterans. So having you guys know, we connected before. I was filming the end of a documentary on the horse soldier. And during SOFIC, or beginning to be right before SOFIC, and we connected. And I'm so happy now that we used SOFIC to dovetail this and launch this show, because I just think it's something 20 years on that, the special operations community and my friends, we all need a little guidance as we look for the next chapter of our careers. And, the transitioning process, guys, as you know, is not simple. In the military, there's a great foundation of work ethic. People call you back because you outrank them and because you've been told to do that. And then you get out in the real world, and as simple as civilianizing your military experience over to LinkedIn just give us a little background on Veterans Florida and then your roles there, and then we're going to talk about some of the programs and what we have educate some of our listeners.
Yeah, sure, fantastic. This is Joe again. Veterans Florida is a state-created entity. We're a nonprofit that is administratively under the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, which assists state veterans that are residents of Florida accessing their federal benefits. So we are sort of the economic and workforce development arm of the agency, and our program, the Veterans Employment and Training Services Program, was created in 2015 and operational in 2016. So we've grown it to include career services, career matching services, entrepreneur training, and in the last year or two, we've also added SkillBridge.
Yeah, well, so we're familiar here with the DoD program. I need to talk to our listeners about that. That's a fabulous program.
It really is. I'm an Army guy myself, so I'm kind of shocked at how flexible
it is. Right?
SkillBridge is. So don't tell them, but we love it because what it does is it allows an employer. Employers can have an approved apprenticeship through Department of Labor, and they can get SkillBridgers through that. But it also allows other employers who maybe don't have that formalized of an apprenticeship, but maybe they want to do sort of an orientation internship, get a taste of this department for a couple of weeks, get a taste of this department. So it gives a broad opportunity for service members to get a taste of civilian culture before they even take off the uniform. DoD continues to pay their salary and benefits. The maximum length that a service member can use this is during their final 6 months before they transition. But typically, we're seeing folks get approval between about 3 to 4 months of their separation. So ultimately, the service member's got to want to do it, the employer's got to want to do it, and then they need to get commander approval. So that's the key part. So we work with all parties involved and help them walk through every single step along the way.
No, that's a great program. And the other thing is, talking about Veterans Florida is, I read somewhere that Florida is one of the most military-friendly states, and I think what you guys are doing there is kind of a good example of that. Is there anything kind of related to that you can talk about?
Well, yeah, Florida has always led the charge, and I'll use SkillBridge as an example. As an organization, we came across it a few years ago, ran a pilot program for it through our agriculture partners at University of Florida, IFAS, and we saw the popularity of that, so we began expanding it into other industries. And ultimately, a state senator out of the Space Coast said, hey, can we write a bill that codifies this initiative in Florida statute? So we worked with him, and we worked with his House counterpart. So Florida was the first state in the entire country to pass an awareness initiative about SkillBridge. So Florida is always looking for innovative ways to maintain their reputation, not for the sake of maintaining it, but for supporting the soldiers, service members, airmen. Sorry, I'm an Army guy, so I'm going to forget all the terms.
We got two Marines in here today, Colonel and Lieutenant Colonel.
Marines, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Pretty soon you'll have to throw Guardians in there. You'll have to throw Guardians in there pretty soon.
Yep. And so, and also just as an organization, we're the only one of our type in the country. A lot of states run similar programs, but they run it through their Veterans Affairs, whereas the state said, look, we need an innovative organization that can keep up with the market and help our service members be competitive, be flexible, be innovative. And so that's why they created us as a nonprofit. So we're unique in that regard, both as a state and as an organization.
Yeah, I mean, the other great thing about SkillBridge is it really allows those service members to understand what the civilian marketplace is like, and what their job is going to be when they get out, and really, because I mean, a lot of the times, especially some of these guys who are retiring, the last time they looked for a job was 20 years ago, right? So they don't even know, the entire, as we've all seen, the economy wasn't even the same thing when
last week it wasn't.
Yeah, so let alone 20 years ago. So I mean, that's a great thing. I kind of wish that was in existence when I first got out of the Marine Corps. But then, as I've said before, as a reservist, I get in and out of the Marine Corps so often that I think I've got about 6D-214 somewhere.
Nice.
And this is perfect. Last week, Christian and I were actually talking about that, about the burden of transitioning on our military members, whether they've been in for just 4 years or if they've been in for 30 years. There's a different dynamic with each of them, and having some guidance to get them through there is definitely needed. I know when I was enlisted, 30 years ago, they basically didn't tell us anything. They said, "Hey, you drive a tank. There's no jobs for you when you get out. Have a good time."
Yeah, it's not applicable.
Yeah. So and now it's so much more than that, and lining up those skills that you learn with what's out there and the things you do, and just exposing to them is so critical.
Right. And it gives them a chance to understand maybe an industry they thought they wanted to get into isn't right for them. So it gives a service member validation on both sides of that. And the thing we've noticed over the last few years is more and more the culture inside is the commanders are being much more open to allowing those shorter year service members to access it, because anyone can access it, but to give someone 6 months off, that's kind of hard, especially if they're a 4 or 6 year person.
Yeah.
But again, that's why we work with the employers and say, look, if you can develop a 3 to 4 month training plan, we can go after those 4 to 6 year guys. And when we first started the pilot program, we were seeing primarily 20-year folks. But now that we've been running it for about 12 to 18 months, we're seeing more and more of the lesser year folks. So everyone's really getting a good opportunity here in Florida. And we're even attracting folks from outside Florida. We've got a SkillBridge with Florida Highway Patrol that's attracting people from California, Virginia. We've got SkillBridges with a pilot training company in Lakeland. I mean, the avenues of opportunity are incredible here.
Well, I mean, that's a nice thing about Florida too. Is a lot of those kind of 4-year junior folks. A lot of them used to go into law enforcement when they got out, and luckily Florida is a place where going into law enforcement is still an attractive job and a job where you're going to get supported.
Right.
It's probably why
we have a fantastic governor here that also has history with the teams, and we had a guy on last week that worked, actually one of our JAG officers worked directly with him. And so good. It helps that we have the state. And, the state people, we take a lot of grief. I make movies as well, guys, and we take a lot of grief down here and that's how I know Nikki and at the Film Commission. We don't have a state film incentive, but what we do have you can't have everything all at one time right now. We're all working towards those goals, but this is a military-centric state, specifically Tampa, where we are all based. This is the hub or the nexus for the Brain Trust, and between the Air Force bases here, and weren't they designating Eglin as Space Force, or at some point I heard we may get the Space Force base if we haven't already.
Patrick over on the Space Coast is a Space Coast base. I don't think Eglin.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. So we have the amount of veterans. Do you have an idea of the veterans that are registered in the state of Florida just through what your data has?
Well, we know that there's at least 1.5 million veterans in Florida by just the nature of their registering, with driver's licenses. You can get the special VTAB and all that. And we know that on average, about maybe anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 a year service members are separating within the state of Florida, and then across the country, 200,000 are separating across, I guess globally, really, to put it in full perspective. So what we do, too, is we also have a marketing arm, and that's where Dan comes in. We are reaching out to folks all across the country, telling them about Florida. And the bill that the governor signed and funded the incentive for new law enforcement folks, we've been pushing that out as well. So we try to match all these varying things, package it in a message that is going to get to a service member or to a veteran. And Dan can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like.
Yeah. Did Dan join us?
Yeah, Dan. It's Dan and Joe.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we work closely with Visit Florida on our annual marketing campaign that runs the gamut of everything from presenting Florida as a place to live and raise a family. There's no taxes on income or military retirement, but also as a place that is the best place to
destination,
find a career, launch and grow a business, that kind of thing. So we work very closely with them in a very successful marketing campaign that really tells the Florida story, which, as we all know, you don't hear everywhere.
No.
But when we tell the Florida story, we know that people are attracted to that because, let's face it, Florida has a commitment, and we put our money where our mouth is. Other states like to talk about, we want veterans, we're veteran friendly, but Florida doesn't.
Reacts.
We've always been on those front lines, and we're going to continue to be.
Yeah, I think this need, we all agree, which is why I started the show. This need is going to continue to swell. I mean, it's easier for me. Veterans as a whole is obviously our topic, but you guys know that can be an enormous task to try to get people focused on all the veterans. So, the impetus behind this is my relationship with the special operations community and getting these programs known with the special operators, and then it's scalable out to there, right? I mean, we're all veterans. So once we can get this, and it seems to be that special forces is a sexy thing to talk about. So, we bring our guys on here, and they experience the same transitioning issues. Believe it or not, the military, my Delta colleague, my unit colleague comes on and he says, yeah, pretty much they told me my day was coming up and that was it. And the Army no longer needed my services. And thank you very much. You have I think you had 8 months to prepare to get, to transition out. The guy's been on Delta for 12 years, on the unit for 12. Right. So it's like, okay, he's got 6 skills. And so one of the things we talk about here with special operations communities, their ability, their language skills, their ability to adapt, to overcome, work ethic, get the job done, and the amount of corporations we all deal with, municipalities, and how difficult it can be to get a yes anymore and get people moving in one direction. What I love about the special operations community is we pick a direction and we make it work.
Exactly, and we've actually got on our board is appointed by the governor, the House Speaker, and the Senate President of Florida. And on our board, we have a retired 06 special operator he's in the Panhandle. And so we certainly value that perspective he brings to our board because it is so important. Special operators have a very unique career in more ways than one.
They have a lateral ability to move.
Making that adjustment.
That's right.
Exactly. And that adjustment out into the civilian life, it's definitely a unique challenge for our special operators. So we're here to help out anybody that needs that kind of help.
Well, and we're going to have it, Dan and Joe, we're going to have you guys, if you're all right with it, we'll circle back offline. But I think this should be an ongoing segment because I really want to talk about, there's no way in 25 minutes we're going to do this. This is going to be an education process. We just have to point people to the website, and obviously, just to get things started. I mean, they should head over to your website, and I mean, some of your social media. Where's a good place for people to get started?
They can visit our website at veteransflorida.org, and we've got an explanation of all of our services there. And if there's any employers listening as well, we have an employer section for them to learn about what we do for them in terms of recruiting service members and veterans. So that's the best way to start. We're also on all the socials. You can probably search us by keywords, Veterans Florida, and we'll pop right up.
And do you guys help the employers take advantage of all those kind of benefits that they get out of hiring veterans and folks like that? So some of the tax advantages and some of those types of things?
Absolutely. And we also work with our partners in Career Source Florida because they have certain programs similar to what we do, and so we like to try to align them to those kinds of employers.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, how do you go about recruiting? I mean, one of the things we want to talk about here is, like you bring up SkillBridge, and this program is a DoD program. I mean, this thing's available to any corporation out there. Or no? What are the requirements here? My understanding was you apply for it, and it's a federal program.
Yeah, it's not a program in the sense that it gets funded. What it is the service member continues to retain their salary and benefits while they're working at the civilian employer. So what we recommend is the employer understand what SkillBridge is. It's not a job. If you're looking for someone to fill slot A, then let's complete a job order for that and get someone to fill it. But if you're looking to train someone in areas of your business to see where they might fit best, see where their skills are, see where we can bridge that gap, those are the kinds of training plans that are best for SkillBridge. And we work with employers on all that.
And that's it. That's the perfect program, to get, because obviously the minute the operator or, veteran comes in, they're going to see the work ethic, which is second to none. And they're going to be able to find, there's a role for veterans in every organization. In fact, I prefer to hire veterans because I know I can give them like a task sheet and they're going to do the complete checklist plus 10% more. And I'm tired of like the weakest link thing, and coming in. So you guys know how valuable this you just don't have that luxury in the military to procrastinate on most parts. On the most part, some of the stuff we can wait, like the last date to get whatever your colonel document. You can wait till the last possible minute. But for the most part, and Florida is a destination. You bring up. It's one of the reasons I left Hollywood in 2019 to come to Florida, which I'm originally from Longboat Key, so it was nice for me to come home after 20 years of being gone. And one of the attractive is there's no state income tax here, and that I remember living out in California. I mean, I could be wrong. I thought it was 8 or 9%. Yeah. So you think about that, guys. On $100,000 annual salary, let's just say it's 8%. That's $8,000. Think of the vacation. Do you want to pay that to a state government, or do you want to take, put half of it in a bank account and the other half taking your kids and your wife and kids on a really nice vacation for $4K?
Well, and you're already living where everybody vacations
anyway, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we're outside of, we're privileged. We're the only state in the union that's got two coastlines of two beaches, and they're two endemically, inherently different beaches. The bodies of water. I was in Fort Lauderdale last weekend. Completely different than Tampa, the Gulf Coast, and Gulf Coast.
I mean, when you talk about the different parts of our state too, and I was just thinking about this as Dan and Joe were talking about all the veterans in Florida. It's just to think about how many bases we have. I mean, we have here in Tampa, we have MacDill and all that entails, and then we have the Space Coast. With once again, Patrick. We've got Homestead with Southcom down there. We're the only state with two geographic combatant commands and a functional combatant command. You have that Navy, the Navy base in Jacksonville.
Right? That's the submarine base, the SST base. Yeah, that's right up in there.
And then everything up in the Panhandle. So it's a really big military town or military state. And I just
Sanford,
didn't
Florida.
even think about it.
Right. That was a shameless plug for Sanford, Florida, who's running for U.S. Congress. Yeah. So that was you like my segue, guys? So, but no, I really appreciate because the veterans. This is a big deal. Obviously, I've been working with the state film commission for many years, and I feel like it's hard to market Florida, Dan, because us that are down here, we're already we already drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and Florida really, to try to capture what Florida represents to everyone, because you and I could go to St. Pete Beach, guys, and it's a completely different vibe, as you know, whether it's Jacksonville Beach or St. Pete Beach, than it is in Miami Central or, even Tampa for that matter, because there's no beaches in Tampa. So, inherently there's something for everyone here. I mean, from a general aviation standpoint, I love the fact that there's no mountains here. I love that I don't get terrain pull up, like for me. And it's a great island to go to the Bahamas and go down to Key West. And so, it's just fabulous across the board. And I think getting this message out 20 years after we went into Afghanistan, and, I was in South America last year when I was turned on the BBC and I saw the withdrawal. And of course, my heart sank. And guys, I'm not political about the withdrawal because there's no good way to exit a war. I mean, I remember them pushing helicopters off aircraft carriers in Vietnam, and it was very similar to that. And what we did know is that the Special Operations Forces there's a lot, these last two wars, there was a lot being asked by them versus conventional forces. So we spun up even more operators, on two wars. And so now we have these guys with the end of both wars. They're all starting to, in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see guys, there's going to be a lot more guys out there.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that brings up other points too. I mean, this is great. We need these services. We also have to remember that we're going to need, care services. People are going to have, we have a lot of high suicide rate. We have to worry about those things. And things like having a job when you get out and being able to transition is one less thing for someone to worry about. And that contributes to a healthy lifestyle that's going to keep more of our brothers and sisters.
Step, exactly.
The next mission, right? You guys have already always heard Jocko Willink talk about that. He said, get ready for your next mission.
Right. Exactly.
And so Florida, veteransflorida.org. What else, guys, can we do this? And I want to be able to maybe come get you guys back on here in a couple of weeks and talk about a specific program. Like we can just start educating our listeners on some of the, without going to rabbit holes too far, because this, but let's make it as easy. A lot of times guys just don't know this aid's available. I mean, I've been making films for years, and I didn't know, initially that there was incentives. I had no idea. So it's an experience thing. So putting this brain trust of guys together on here and helping others navigate through this, it's just going to be a larger number of people that we're going to have to, and we got to get ahead of this as much as we can now, because I feel we're behind.
Yeah, it's like I said, there's 200,000 each year separating across the country. We want to get as many of them to stay or move to Florida when they leave, and it's a ticking clock. Dan and his marketing team work overtime. Our administrative team and our veteran employments team are working nonstop because of that situation. We hire veterans ourselves that work with veterans because they understand the urgency that you're talking about. Every day that goes by, every week, every month, there's more and more getting out that need assistance or at least information.
Yeah.
If many veterans are very self-sufficient, and sometimes they just need to be pointed in the right direction, and we can help them with that.
That's right. And Dan,
and then some need more help, and we can help those
with that on a case-by-case basis. And this is great to have this nexus here, guys. Dan and Joe, Florida's Veterans Florida. I really appreciate you guys joining us on Oscar Mike today. And I'm going to circle back with you offline, and let's put together a little game plan to come up with like little snippet segments here where we can educate guys here on Oscar Mike.
You got it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Keep up what you're doing.